Cena down with all the strength and power of the world's strongest man. The bear hug locked around John Cena.
Trying to break that grip. He's done it. Got one hand free now. Oh, once again.
Strongest slam. I'm not sure Henry can capitalize here.
Oh! What the? What happened?
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, oh yeah.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Really? Yeah!
Welcome to the end of the year edition of Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB, online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you to talk a little bit about not just this past week, but this past year, as this is the last Pro Wrestling Weekly for 2011. That's right, next week and the following week I won't be here. No Christmas Eve show, no New Year's Eve show. Kind of makes sense. Go out, party, do your thing, of course, responsibly. Gotta make sure you're doing things responsibly. But don't worry, we'll have ample stuff to talk about next time we're back on here on Saturday, January 7th. A whole bunch of stuff, including, well, first of all, let me introduce the guest here to my immediate left, longtime friend of the show from CompletelyDamaged.com, RC. What's going on, RC?
Ron, thanks for having me, man.
No problem.
What a year it's been.
Tried to bring some of the old friends in. We'll see if we can get a few more as the hour goes along here. But yeah, I mean, what an interesting year it's been. I mean, not exactly capped off all that great with the Slammys, but the highlight, of course, of that 3-hour Raw, the return of Kane, which as soon as you hear that music, it's nice that they kind of went to the old school style of music, because I don't know, all that was missing was Vince McMahon on commentary going, that's gotta be Kane. that brings me back to, oh gosh, what was that, In Your House Bad Blood from October of 97.
Yeah, that mask, man, I love that new mask that he has.
Yeah, the inner one, as opposed to that like Riot Guard mask that he had going. I was a little perplexed by that, but the inner mask, I kind of like it. At first glance, it looked like a darker version of the protective mask that The Undertaker had back in like 95 when he was protecting his face. If you remember that?
Yep.
I know, I'm going back, like 16 years now, but go figure.
Very true.
Great stuff. Anyway, I mean, we've also got, I'm bouncing all over the place here. We, of course, have a TLC pay-per-view tomorrow, tables, ladders, and chairs. Still a little disappointed because as of a few months ago, that was supposed to be here in Philadelphia. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't know that.
Initially, Philly got the bid for TLC, and then due to a scheduling conflict believe it or not, with the Eagles, because, people thought that the Eagles are going to be doing a little bit more this year. The pay-per-view ended up getting moved to Baltimore, which Baltimore, I guess, is more of a playoff team, but I think they're on the road. I don't have the NFL schedule in front of me, but I believe the Ravens are on the road, so they're able to have the pay-per-view in Baltimore, and then we kind of got the consolation prize of Raw this Monday in Philadelphia. So tons of stuff going on.
Quote to Hurricane Helms here. What's up with that?
What's up with that? Yeah, that is definitely an interesting question. And we'll go ahead and go ahead and take a look at the Facebook feedback. Already tons of feedback being brought about the TLC pay-per-view, including Evan. He notes that something interesting. John Cena not booked or scheduled to appear at TLC. Evan wanting to know, can WWE let a whole show go by without mentioning him or having him appear? I don't think so. That is a great question, Evan. I hate to say it. I mean, that would be like in 1987 having a whole show go by without mentioning Hulk Hogan. That would be like in 1999 having a whole show go by without mentioning Steve Austin. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
And William commenting on that not too long ago. Cena-free WWE TV, no chance in hell.
Yep.
Little Vince. I should have said it in that Vince, no chance in hell. And he's laughing like Ted DiBiase right now. He's that's right, Ted DiBiase Sr., who also a lot of cameos on this Slammys edition of Raw.
I don't know. And Foley. That was
an interesting pairing. A bit of a head scratch. There were a lot of there were a lot of uninspired returns, and I think it was people from the Attitude Era who today's fan base, a lot of them weren't even born when these people were out there. I mean,
quite frankly, some of them didn't even think they wanted to be there. If you could tell by the vibe that some of them were sending off.
Yeah, they're kind of like
Lita.
Lita. Well, Lita had some personal issues, which we'll get into with the news and notes a little bit later. So I think
very true.
She might have been a little bit distracted by that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Tony Atlas and the whole laugh thing. I mean,
too much.
I love Tony Atlas. Yeah. I mean, I had an interview with him just under a month ago. At least that we had aired over here. The interview was from a couple of months ago, courtesy of Sinomania. But I aired that about a month ago now, and I mean, he's a great guy. But I don't know. Nobody was really... the few people who were watching NXT, I guess, kind of forgot about him at this point already.
That's true.
And, I mean, you had the Road Dogg Jesse James. He was the one who I felt... I mean, it was cool for those who remember him to have him back, but, if you haven't watched WWE TV in the last decade, you go, who's this guy? Plus, a lot of his shtick was not exactly PG, and now he's trying to do the same shtick, only more politically correct. And it just, I don't know. There were a lot of head scratchers, and we'll certainly go ahead and get your thoughts on that out there as well. 215-949-3232 and toll free at 888-922-2149. Taking a look a little bit more, another Facebook feedback. John, of course, oh, wow, this is a lengthy read. I may have to do a little bit of editing on this just because I think he did the whole show on Facebook here. Sorry I can't be a part of the last show of 2011, but simply put, 2011 was the most inconsistent year I'd ever seen. But then I see Michael Cole rapping. He goes on to say, 2011 flat out sucked.
That whole thing with Michael
the
Cole.
rap off, the Michael Cole. I didn't even know if I wanted to get into it, but
the J.R. Rooney, really?
The J.R. Rooney. It seems like they're trying to humiliate and emasculate JR pretty much anywhere along the board, as opposed to letting him do what he does best, which is call matches, enhance the product, and make the people who are watching it on TV, watching it on the pay-per-views, get them a little bit more engaged, as opposed to having to hear the rantings of Michael Cole and the nonsensical ramblings of Booker T.
I know, I agree.
But yeah, going back to John here, so I totally got off on a tangent. He goes on to say, The Miz, Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, and John Cena were forced onto us, and out of those names, only Cena is TV level, since Miz and Rio should be mid-card guys on a WWE.com show. Ouch. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Yeah. I mean, Miz, he's been a main eventer. I've kind of been behind Miz for a while. I will admit, my former co-host Richie was he was the one trumpeting The Miz for a while, but I said, he's got the skills on the mic if he can back it up in the ring. Limitless potential, but apparently there's been a glass ceiling or at least a glass box or something for 2011 for Miz. And Del Rio, he started off hot in the beginning of the year, and somewhere along the way he kind of cooled down. CM Punk flat out bombed, John goes on to say, after his epic shoot promo, and now I can simply cannot stand the constant CM Punk force feeding that we're getting now. So I don't even think it's that much force feeding.
No.
We're getting a little bit of it, but you have to have some semblance of stardom, and where is that going to come from? If anybody's really being force-fed, I think it's Zack Ryder to a degree, more so than CM Punk.
Yeah, I love CM Punk.
So do I.
I just think they didn't use what he could have brought to the table in the beginning there to WWE's advantage. They kind of
they didn't play. They kind of went halfway on the unpredictability, and then the unpredictability became predictable. Yeah. And that I think kind of took away from it. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Again, John saying they simply failed with CM Punk. I don't know if I agree with that. Michael Cole once again dominated the TV time for no apparent reason other than to give us a reason to watch Monday Night Football or see if The Wire on HBO is on HBO on demand. That is definitely. With all due credit to The Rock, he's definitely bringing it. The only thing that really stunk more than all that, we lost Randy Savage, and that in itself is the worst thing that happened in wrestling this year.
That was a heartbreaker. Yep.
Definitely. Bar none. 2012 hopefully will be much better, but only with a car and 88 miles an hour with a lightning bolt can we get a preview of what's actually going to happen. A little Back to the Future knowledge there. Great shows from Fearon all year long. Loving the new Facebook and YouTube integration for the show, and best of luck to everyone involved. Happy holidays, John from Northeast Philly. So that's, thanks, John. Greatly appreciate it. Always appreciate the Facebook feedback. You can definitely chime in as well. Give us a look on Facebook, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Go ahead and like us, and we'll go ahead and allow you to comment on there. It's an open group, so there's no. There's no approval process, at least I don't think that needs to be done, although I'm not exactly the most technically savvy. So if there is, I have Facebook on my phone, so I should be able to, if I can figure that out, then I can figure out an approval process, but I don't think that there is one.
Definitely.
Wow. And we're already about a third of the way through the show. It's amazing. We haven't even delved on, we had TNA's Final Resolution pay-per-view this past Sunday. A little bit lackluster, although for once I actually got most of my picks right. Who would have thunk that? I'll go over those coming up in the next segment. We'll talk a little bit about the. We'll go into the at least the main event for that, the 30-minute Iron Man match that ended in a time limit draw. Again, for whatever reason, leaving a disappointing finish at the end of a pay-per-view. I understand that that's not TNA's major source of income, but. It's going to be no source of income if you keep basically screwing over the fans. It ended in a 3-3 draw, something I definitely wasn't expecting, and then the follow up to that came on Impact the following Thursday. That's something that TNA's been doing for at least the last couple of years. Is instead of booking for their pay-per-views, they tend to book for their episodes of Impact Wrestling immediately following the pay-per-view. I don't understand. There was that. There was the cliffhanger of somebody getting fired on Thursday, which, again, kind of, it seemed like a Vince McMahon knockoff. Yeah. Except, a cackle as opposed to a, "You're fired."
A lot of it's been, with the whole wedding with Sanjay and Jay Lethal and SoCal Val there.
Oh,
kind of like a remix of
that kind of triangle. That triangle going on. I don't know. I'm trying not to put a negative light on 2011, but there haven't exactly been a lot of. There are more memorable, not so good things.
One thing they did get right, though, I got to admit, is giving the belt to a young talent. Like first it was James Storm because of what happened in Bound for Glory, and then now Bobby Roode goes heel, and now he has the belt. Like Kurt Angle was saying, he wants to help some of the young guys get up in the business, and he wants to give the belt to them and put them over now. So, it's good that TNA is finally doing the right thing.
you are starting to see a little bit of the changing of the guard, whereas it's not the names that you've seen for the last 10, 15 years still on top. Now it's more... you have new developing names, and some of those names from the past are kind of helping promote those to some degree. I mean, there are still some draws in there. I mean, looking at TNA, for example, we'll look at Impact. I mean, we'll go to Final Resolution. I mean, just looking at some of the names here. I mean, well, AJ Styles. Now it's weird. It seems like he's been around for the last like 20 years, but it also seems like he's still young. So I don't know what exactly category you put him in. I guess he's kind of right up there with a Rey Mysterio in that regard.
Yeah, or like Samoa Joe, for instance. They've been teasing his whole career in TNA for how long now? Since he's got there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you pretty much have that TNA triangle of AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe. Who it seems like, I mean, they've been this young and up and coming talent for the last 8 years. And I don't know when I mean they've been at the top, but even being at the top, it's kind of like where do they go now?
And what are your feelings on this whole like wild card tournament that they're doing?
It gives me some. I know. I swear I've had so many flashbacks today. I'm just waiting for the little white screen, or at least the radio equivalent of it. No, it reminds me of like the WCW Battle Bowl days, or the Lethal Lottery, if you remember that from the early to mid '90s. I'm sure a few of you certainly do out there. Anyway, let's go ahead and take care of some business. We'll get to the phones on the other side. We've got Ed, who's been waiting patiently. We've got Ron as well. We've also got room for you. 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. Those are the ways to get to us. We also have the Facebook fan page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Fearon alongside RC from CompletelyDamaged.com. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.